Hey everybody, um, sitting here in the hole where my house used to be, and I'm going to make a longer video to give you more details of what went down with our case in the end. The case against Lowe's and Beacon Roofing for damaging our roof and eventually destroying our house. As in the shorter video I posted earlier, we were named the prevailing party in arbitration, and we thought we had won, but it's apparently possible to win and still lose. So what happened was in 2020, as most of you know, and if you don't, there's a lot of videos on the YouTube channel of what happened to our house. We signed a contract with Lowe's to re-roof our house, and they contracted a roofing company and a roofing supply company, the roofing supply company being Beacon. Now, we did the roofing or the re-roofing because we had taken over the house after my mother-in-law, who I really liked, passed from cancer after a long battle. And her and my wife had owned this property since '97, and my mother-in-law was living here alone. And so we sold our house and took over the property and immediately started doing maintenance and upkeep on the property. And what we didn't know is if the roof had ever been replaced. It didn't look bad, didn't look like a problem. All the shingles laid flat, nothing was curled up, all the good signs, but we didn't know. So we got this screaming deal from Lowe's for about little over $15,000, and we decided to re-roof our house. Now, on the day that it was supposed to happen, November 4th, which contractually it was November 6th, but it happened 2 days early, they showed up to do the roof and had started work, and the roofing supply company showed up and loaded shingles on the roof after they had walked across the roof and punched holes all across the roof, broke trusses. They at first didn't load the shingles on the roof, and then discussion between them and the roofer, and they put the shingles on the roof, which doesn't matter whose fault it was because they're subcontractors of Lowe's, so therefore Lowe's is the general contractor, is responsible. That's law, can't avoid that. And they overloaded it, and that started the destruction of our house. Lowe's didn't do anything for over 30 days. That was November 4th, December 10th. After they had tried to offer us $3,000 to fix the roof. Yeah, $3,300 and something dollars. Not enough. The next day it rained, and we started getting water in the house consistently over the next several months. This led to the condemnation of the house. There was technically four separate reports on this, which I'll get into. The three reports, there was one that we paid for out of pocket, and there was two that happened from State Farm, and all of those three agreed the house was done. You couldn't repair it. It was toast. So that was the end of it. Now the fourth report I mentioned was actually paid for by Lowe's, and unfortunately for them it said the same thing. But they were trying to push blame on the roofer, which was not right on their part, and we thought would help us because that just points the finger back at them as the general contractor, and they kept trying to argue that they weren't the general contractor, but they are. They hold the license. So all these reports agreed. The house was destroyed. State Farm gave us some money, but it wasn't enough to ever fix the roof or to rebuild the property. And to give you an idea, part of the arbitrator's decision was, he said, the Natties have received like $400 and something thousand. And that's very misleading because we never received all of that money or even received it all at once. We received a couple of 30, 40 grand installments, but when we'd receive those, it was for an estimate of damage that occurred in the past, and then more rain would happen, so we'd have to get a new estimate to fix it, so it kept this cascading problem. So we never had enough money to fix it. And then by the time we got like $208,000 to rebuild a 2,700 square foot house, The house was already destroyed. We couldn't fix it. We couldn't rebuild it. We had to tear it down. And we didn't even do that for a few years. We finally had to tear the house down because while we were fighting Town of Gilbert and Maricopa County on this road expansion and eminent domain, we got this very strange and coincidental notification from Maricopa County Code Enforcement that we had a dilapidated building on our property and we had to tear it down. And otherwise it was a $750 per day fine. So we tore it down, and that was money out of pocket. We didn't have that money to do it. We had to borrow it. And that was about $28,000, $29,000 to demo the house. So the 208 that we got, most of these checks that we received, we couldn't even cash because they were actually made out to our mortgage holder. So the first few we had to send in, they would endorse and they would send it back. And we would use it for things like, we bought the fifth wheel trailer, which was $45,000 because we needed something to live in. We would get living expenses because we couldn't cook or make food or store food or do anything in a house because we didn't have one. We had that $400-something thousand total was also included all the water mitigation that was for nothing because we lost the house anyway, and that was expensive. There was $8,000 of it that was paid to us that was for storage that we had to turn around and give to emergency cleanup, who we like those guys, who was doing the water mitigation because they got mobile minis, and part of that bill fell on us after State Farm stopped paying the bills. So we never received a whole lot of money to rebuild a house. In fact, when we finally, and we were broke, got the $208,000, the check was made out to our mortgage holder, and we thought, okay, we'll send it to them. They'll turn around and get it back to us. And they didn't. They held on to it. And they told us that they would parse it out as we made repairs, but we had to start repairs. Well, we didn't have the money to start repairs. And as you know, as I said, it was $28,000. At the time, we thought it was over $50,000 to tear down the house. We didn't have that money. And so we kind of went round and round with the mortgage holder, and the only thing we could do was tell them, put it towards the mortgage because they're not going to release it to us. And they were going to release it in small amounts like $4,000, $5,000, which no contractor is going to get started for that. So we gave it to the mortgage company and they paid down our mortgage, and we got, like, after the mortgage was paid, like 20 to 30 grand left. And with that, we, plus a whole bunch of more money we borrowed, we built what we call the barn to store our belongings. And then we borrowed more money to enclose a pole barn that we had as a shop to store even more belongings, because during all this, we thought we were going to make enough money off of this arbitration to rebuild our house. And my parents were living out in Illinois in a very cold area, and they're both disabled, we shall say. So we were going to rebuild and move them in with us. So we had their belongings that we had to store too, and that's on us. But then the arbitration comes, and the arbitrator decided that we were not owed any damages because it was our fault for not securing the roof after it was damaged. You heard that right. We were responsible for securing the roof after the January 25th rain, because then it was on us. Lowe's and Beacon, and this is all factual in documentation, both tried to argue that they weren't in control of the roof, and that we told them to stop work. And they tried to say we told them to stop work on the roof or getting the roof fixed from an email where I told them not to touch anything, and it was because we filed a registrar of contractors complaint, and registrar of contractors doesn't want you to touch anything. They want to see the original damage. And they tried to use that as a stop work order. And we had to explain during arbitration, which our lawyers did beautifully, that we were telling them to stop work, so it was no longer their responsibility. The gall was amazing. So the registrar contractors didn't side with us. Well, actually, they just decided not to get involved, actually, because we had called our insurance company. The insurance company hadn't done anything. We had done water mitigation in the house to keep it dry, but we hadn't touched the roof, and ROC said, well, you called your insurance company, so we're not going to do anything. So the arbitrator decided we weren't owed any damages. We weren't owed any emotional distress damages because we hadn't proved that we had really been through anything. And I just found out today, he awarded State Farm contractual fees so that subrogation, they could get their money back from Lowe, since Lowe's was found responsible for the damage, and so was Beacon Roofing Supply. So State Farm got money back, and then we found out we're not even getting our legal fees reimbursed. Arbitrator apparently told our lawyers under no circumstances was he going to award legal fees. So we're in deeper debt. We have no house. We're looking at spending our 5th Christmas without a house. We're trying to figure out now how we're going to rebuild. To say it's difficult is an understatement. My son has spent from the age of 12 until 17 not having birthdays in a house or having a home. Can't have friends over. Yeah. So that's where we're at. A lot of memories in that house. I got married here. I got ready for my wedding in this house. When my son was born, we brought him home to this house because we were actually living here for a period of time when my wife was pregnant. My son spent every day after school at this house because my mother-in-law adored him and would do awesome grandma duties and bring him home every day after school, would even argue if we tried to let her off duty. So he spent a lot of time at this house. My mother-in-law and I got along fantastically. Not at first, but we did. And her and my wife owned this property since '97, so they created a lot of memories in this house. In fact, when she was dying from cancer, she didn't want to die in a hospital, so she decided to, excuse me, sorry, be on hospice in this house. Well, what used to be this house. And she passed on Easter Sunday, and I helped carry her out of the house. All of that is gone. There is no physical marker of any of that anymore. So what we're going to do, because it's the only idea we've got, and I said this in the shorter video, we're going to start a GoFundMe, and we're hopefully going to get enough traction that we can at least pay back some debt. And like I said in the shorter video, it's going to be years, and I mean years, before we can pay all this off and even try to get a loan to rebuild this house. Our credit is terrible now. I used to have like an 800 credit score, and so did my wife, and with all the debt we've had to rack up just trying to survive, you know, buying a RV and eating out a lot because we didn't really have anywhere to cook or store a lot of food. So, you know, cooking an RV trailer every night of the week, it doesn't work. So you're having to get takeout a lot. And the State Farm money ran out after a while once they paid us off. And that was only like 2 years or so that they were helping us, and it's been 5. So yeah, we're gonna try to do that, and I'm hoping enough people will share this and get enough traction that we can get a little bit to hopefully recover. All I ask is if you could share this video, I would appreciate it. If anything, it's informative. Don't sign a contract if it calls for arbitration, because you've got no right to appeal, and it doesn't proceed like court does. Arbitrator gets to decide what happens, and that's it. It's the end of it. It's over. So I appreciate everyone. I started this channel because of this. It's turned into something else because I enjoy it. I'm obviously not making any money off of it because I've got like 90-something subscribers, but I enjoy it. I enjoy showing what we're doing around here. So if you could share this video or the short video even, I'll link them together. And I'll put the GoFundMe link in here when I post it. Appreciate you guys, and we'll keep updating you with cute goat videos and stuff like that, and hopefully make people smile, because we need it too. All right, y'all have a good one.